you been struggling to sell your home, or maybe you're looking to buy in what is really a buyer's market? Either way, you may need a real estate reality check. Here to help, Dolly Lenz, Vice Chairman at Prudential, Douglas Elliman, one of the largest real estate companies in the country and one of the top real estate agents in the country. Dolly, you've been successful in this business for decades. I'm sure you're seeing something that's you haven't seen maybe in decades. Tell us what it's like out there.
It's pretty brutal. I'd say it starts with increasing inventory, which is making everything a mess, and it ends with unavailability of financing. And without financing, you can't complete a transaction.
Right.
That's, I'd say, the biggest thing we have to overcome.
And do you see, I mean, everyone keeps asking about a bottom. Mm-hmm. Where is the bottom to this? Do you see it coming? Are there any hints, anything we should be looking at?
I think that it's really very particular to an area, so it's hard to talk about a national bottom. But I'd say we're closer than we are further.
Right, because some markets have started to come up, like
already.
Massachusetts, the ones that went under first.
Exactly.
So we'll keep an eye out for that. Now, recently we went to an open house in New Jersey to check the real estate pulse. Let's start with Jordan, who's the seller of this home.
I'm the homeowner and the architect of this house. My question is, there's been a tremendous amount of interest in this house since we put it on the market. And I'm wondering why nobody seems to be interested in opening up their checkbooks to make an offer.
Well, Dolly, I think he's referring to your point there.
Well, there are a couple of issues. One is the total lack of buyer confidence, and everyone's trying to figure out where is the bottom, as you said, before they make an offer. And two is a lack of financing. So everybody's kind of taking a wait-and-see attitude is what I'm finding.
Yeah, so much wait and see. I don't want to take the leap just yet. Now, Jordan's on the money line with us right now. Jordan, welcome. You have a follow-up question.
Yes. The month before we put the house on the market, we added an additional $80,000 worth of final improvements. Can I recoup the cost of this $80,000 worth of architectural detail work and other specialty improvements?
I think you really have to look at that like just an additional improvement, as if you had just painted the house. You really can't look at it recouping it per se.
Yeah, not 80 to 80, so he's not necessarily going to get that back. And we know that with a lot of improvements, I guess, but maybe the architectural detailing maybe not as much as, say, a new kitchen. Or
Exactly, and it may give you better curb appeal, and therefore you'll sell the house faster, which obviously is a huge advantage. So all is good, just a question of dollar for dollar on the $80,000.
Okay, and we also got a chance to speak with Vincent, the realtor at the open house. He had a question of his own.
Can you comment on the importance of both buyer and seller looking at their local markets as compared to a national type conversation?
Well, I think the local markets are the key. You really have to know everything going on in the local market, the comparable property on the market, how long it's on the market, how it's comparable, everything in detail about the local market. But you also need to speak the speak and walk the walk. So therefore, you need to know things like existing home sales, pending home sales, inventory levels nationally. I think that gives you confidence when speaking to buyers and sellers. And when you have confidence, it all works. Then they listen to you.
And they can get that at realtor.org, that information in particular?
Exactly.
Okay, and it's very important to know your own market. Now, at the open house, we also talked to Dana.
We've been on the market for 2 weeks now and are holding our second open house today. My question to you is, in this market, should we wait another month to have the next open house, or should we have it sooner than that?
I would definitely not wait. I would have an open house.
Every day.
Yeah, every week. I would schedule an open house weekly. I would make sure it's on all the MLS lists. I would make sure the brokers all know, including your broker, make sure they blast it to everyone. I would make it different times. So let's say on week 1, you do it in the morning, week 2 in the afternoon, week 3 early evening. And this way you get all the people who are out there have a chance to stop by and see your house.
Now, what about trying to create some kind of, you don't want to make it look like you're too desperate, right, as a seller. So does that have anything to do with this, kind of setting up the stage that you don't want the buyers to think that you're just going to unload it at any cost?
Eager to sell or eager to...
Yeah.
You don't want to appear desperate, but in reality, pretty much most people today are desperate, so I don't think you're sending bad signals by having it there. You want it out there, because if it's not out there, somebody could miss it. So you want everyone to know my house is for sale, and you want everyone to know I am a real seller.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, surely, with expectations, too. I think when you're selling, especially, the expectation of how long it's going to take, like that question, should I have an open house every week? I think we all tell us, put our expectations to the side and really just go after what we need.
Exactly, and just continue it and just do it. Move it forward, move it forward, move it forward, and it will stop. It will end, and you will sell.
Now, and Dolly, too, on the buyer side, a lot of folks call it and say, is this the time to buy? And we say, you got to make sure your finances prices are in order. But a lot of buyers are holding off because they want to see how low things can go. Wise or no?
It really depends, again, just like the individual market, to the individual person. I mean, I think if you're renting versus buying and your rent is very high and it's cheaper for you to buy, go out and look to buy. If you have a 10-year time horizon, if the kids are going to go to school in this new neighborhood, et cetera, I would say go ahead and buy. Make the best deal you can. Learn everything on the market, everything about the market. Get your financing in order up front. That is the hardest part today. And go ahead and buy. But otherwise, I would say no. I mean, as an investment, would I buy now? No. So it really depends on the buyer.
Yeah, exactly. And the time horizon, long time horizon, very important. Next, we have a question from Peter, a buyer at the open house.
In this buyer's market, how much room do we have to negotiate?
That's a good one, because a lot of folks will say, well, I'm the buyer and things are really bad and most of these sellers are really motivated to sell. Why not offer them a lot less?
Again, it's very individual to your community, to the specific area, to the house. You can find out about people's motivations all kinds of ways, especially in small communities. Sadly, someone may have lost their job or maybe in financial distress or about to be foreclosed upon. So depending on those situations will depend upon the actual discount, so to speak, to value. And again, what is a question of value? But that's a whole other question. Yeah. I would say in general, you're looking at 25%-ish if you want just a metric. But it really is so individual. You have to know the local market and the very local market to know where to go.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Dolly, for joining us tonight. Dolly's going to be back for tonight's Web Extra. She's got the real estate basics that every buyer and seller needs to know. Check them out at otm.cnbc.com. Do you have a real estate dilemma? Tell us about it through Facebook. Join our official fan page. Head to otm.cnbc.com to sign up. I'll be there, and I'll see you there.